Hello, black people. I'm going to be uploading a new mini series, I guess. It's going to be called Voices of Our People. It's going to be taken from interviews from various talk shows, and it's going to have a considerable amount of volumes. The first segment I'm going to upload is going to be Volume 1. So hope you guys enjoy it. I'll be putting up other videos besides these, but these are some interesting topics that I think people should be listening to. So, hope you enjoy.
In Britain, with that refined monotone to them, you hear this nonsense. So now now the savages and the twerkers and the whores and the thugs and the degenerates, now they're going to define for us what being black means?
Look, what I'm telling you, all the things that I've heard you talk about in your shows, the same is happening here, and in some cases it's worse. In some cases it's worse.
I made the statement to some people.
In this country, there is absolutely no, in terms of, you're talking about strongholds that have actually slipping away. We haven't actually got any to begin with.
Wow.
And when you compare us to, for example, the Indians and the people from Pakistan and other places who have been here, the same amount of time as us, and what they have, and what they've built, because they put their people first. Instead of, in terms of our priorities, it was assimilation. Assimilation, 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 right? And what has happened here, what's happened as a result of that is that we are probably in the worst condition we've ever been in.
I've told people that black people in America are courting extinction in roughly 200 years. You people are courting extinction within the next 90.
I keep on telling people this.
The rate of interracial dating among black men in Britain is outrageous.
It's absolutely ridiculous. And it seems to, it's 50%. It's 50%. And it's been at least 50% for some time.
It's outrageous.
Yeah, no.
It's just an outrage.
Women now it's increasing as well. Women now is increasing, I think it's around 40%.
The Jews had to be drugged to the ovens. Black people in Britain are just hopping in them on their own.
Oh, and they've done that since the minute they stepped foot off the Windrush. This has been going on.
What percentage of the population in Britain? What percentage of the population are black over there right now?
You know what? We are only in, I think, some of the, the major conurbations. So we're in, obviously, London, Birmingham, Manchester. Liverpool is mainly mixed race now. I mean, that's totally, there is a black population, but it's more mixed race than black. Birmingham's going that way. Leeds, that's it. So in terms of the whole percentage of the population, I mean, in terms of ethnic minorities in Britain, in what they class as ethnic minorities, I think it's only about 7% of the population. Of that who are black, I don't even think it's 1%. In terms of the whole of Britain, not, out, because obviously when you come out of London and Birmingham, those major conurbations, the rest of the place is like overwhelmingly white.
Right, once you go into those areas that we would call suburbs here, basically, they evaporate.
Yeah. So if you went to somewhere like Devon, Cornwall, Norwich, something like, you're not really going to see that many people who look like us.
But, you all are really deprived because you've never had a civil rights movement. So you've always had the nonsense that you were okay, and in reality, you're not.
Absolutely. And what's even worse here in some ways is that because obviously with America, it's got such a long history of, obviously, the brutality and the struggle here, whereas in Britain, it was obviously when our grandparents came, it was very hostile. We faced a lot of racism, but in Britain they're very subtle. It's to a point that it's not as in your face. How I would see it is in America you kind of know where you stand. In the Britain it's very different. It's very different. People here actually think that racism. A lot of black people are under the illusion that racism is just a very isolated thing. Only the BNP are racist.
Or that's an American problem.
Yeah, exactly.
And, I mean, the devil's greatest deception was convincing people that he didn't exist. And I mean, a racist's greatest deception is convincing people he's not there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when you even look at the words that are used, it even gives you a clue, because Britain prides itself on its racial tolerance, Yeah.
So they call it. Go take a look at the House of Commons and the House of Lords. Will someone please tell me where the equality is there?
Well, that's it. You have, I think you have, I think 3 or 4 black MPs, and you know what type they are.
Yes. And nobody even talks about that, at least here in the United States. You know, at least you've got Maxine Waters who will give some lip service to banging on the beast. At least you've got Elijah Cummings who will give some lip service to banging on the beast. You go to Britain, and I mean, who is saying black first in Britain? Nobody.
Nobody.
And if they did, good God, he's out of there.
He's out of it.
And it's black people who will get rid of him. It's black people who will get rid of him.
Yeah.
The whites won't even have to lift a finger. I mean, if Caucasians could have gotten this kind of subservience from us here, we never would have left the fields.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it's staggering.
This is what it's like.
It's really just frightening to me. As a black woman in Britain, really, I want to just ask you straight out honestly, as a black woman in Britain, can we survive?
Look, no, I don't think so. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I think, as I said, I say, look, by the time I'm old, I'm 29 years old. By the time if I live to be 80, you know, you will only see people my age who look like me. And that's the bottom line.
So, you know, King Knave Liver from Braveheart's prophecy, they will have bred us out.
Yeah. It's the rabbit-proof fence. And we're volunteering to do it. It's not, they don't even have to. We're volunteering to do it. They obviously they're promoting it, but we're volunteering, you know, hands down, no problem at all.
Has anybody...
And that's what we've been doing ever since. And it's basically the whole slave mentality that we brought with us, you know, from the Caribbean and from Africa, the colonialists, you know, looking at up to the great, the great, you know, white masters almost, you know, for the men of their, you know, one of their desires is their women.
You know, has anybody challenged your black credentials? I just have to ask you that.
Has anyone challenged my black credentials in terms of in what sense?
Well, do you get comments? You're obviously hanging out with us, so obviously you're getting comments from people like you're too black or whatever. You've got to be hearing stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you know, basically, I've reached a stage where I can't pretend anymore. I can't hide. I can't ignore what is going on around me. I can't do it anymore. I've tried. I can't do it. I can't do it. And yeah, I mean, look, the way the way the UK is right now, everything you do is monitored. Everything you do is monitored.
Cameras everywhere.
You wouldn't. Absolutely. So you know, even every phone call is a risk. So you know, this is how it is. But you know what? Certain things are worth sacrificing for. That's how I see it.
You know, in 50 years...
Our empowerment is paramount. That should be the first thing, the foremost thing on our mind. We've got kids out here dying over rubbish, over absolute rubbish. The same problems you talk about in your program, the same problems is identical here. Identical.
On the other side of the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
On the other side of the world, totally different culture, totally different, you know, geographic area, and yet
but the same stuff going on across the board.
Coons, buffoons, morons, idiots telling us to do everything but put black first.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it could just be on a basic level, just on a socio-economic level would make such a huge difference.
Temini, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
okay.
Go ahead.
So, I mean, it really struck me right now. I don't know if people heard what you said when TBA asked you, do you think that we can survive? You said something pretty powerful. You're saying that when you feel, once you turn 80, you will only see Africans that look like you that are that old. You're saying there's not going to be any younger generations. Do you think that that's what the people need to hear? I mean, people are not aware that it's not just us in America that are going to reach that point.
Well, does it scare, are they aware of it, and does it scare them like it just scares you?
I'm telling you, in Europe, it's much worse. In Europe, it's much worse. Because, I mean, basically, hey, people over here look to America. You know, that's what I'm saying. Black people over here look to America as the beacon of opportunity for black people. You've got to understand that. You know, over here is a lot worse. And yeah, I mean, that statement, you know, as I said, when I am 80 years old,